Hi, my name is Abbas, and in this particular video, we are going to look at AngularJS and its basic core components over here. I represent Lead IT Training Center in Bandra. So let's go ahead with this particular video. So what exactly is Angular and how it works? So Angular is a JavaScript framework for those of you all who are new, and it is basically one of the very much upcoming frameworks. So right now in the market we have Angular 1, 1.5 and Angular 2, and recently it's come up with Angular 4 also. So it's more of the client side framework. The pattern which Angular follows, it is a pattern based approach. So here the pattern that is followed is MVC or MV star pattern for Angular, and generally we break it up into three parts: model, view and controller. So we'll see in the later slides that what is the difference between the model, the view and the controller. Angular as such as a library is totally open source, built by Google, and as well as there are many other contributors who are part in this open source world who are also contributing at the same time to Angular. Angular is comprehensive, and let's see why. First of all, it handles Ajax communications with great ease using the $HTTP inbuilt service, so that we can automatically make calls to our web APIs or any other MVC applications on the server side using the $HTTP and retrieve the data. Fine. The data that comes back normally from the server is as plain JavaScript objects or JSON objects, you can say. You can show multiple views in a single page. That is one of the biggest benefit of using Angular, and that is the reason it is popular as a single page application framework. It uses templates. It supports something very important, that is two-way data binding, such that when the data is changed from the browser or the client side, it is reflected on the other end. Fine. And vice versa. So there is a model and the controller over here. So when the data is changed from one end to another end, it is reflected in both sides. So from the view and the controller, you will see the data getting interchanged very easily. So in the future videos, we will focus on those areas. It handles something known as routing, which helps to move from one view to another view in Angular, and basically with the help of which, for example, we have the menu driven approach, where we have the home and about us and contact us. So when the user navigates to different pages, he or she will not realize the refresh of the pages, since the routing is happening in the background, and that gives the feeling of a single page application where we don't refresh the page. So this diagram clearly explains how Angular works. So basically here we see that we have an HTML page which interacts with the model, which represents data, and the interaction is happening both sides, and that is the reason it is called the two-way data binding from the page to the model and vice versa. And the model is interacting with the database on the, or basically you can say the server via the API calls from the $HTTP service. So in this way, this small diagram clearly depicts how Angular actually works. The features of Angular are, one of the important feature is testability. So if it is a concept of JavaScript framework, it is very much new in the industry. Many people that can we test even JavaScript codes? Yes, we can with Angular, and it is basically an extended HTML vocabulary. So in a general HTML page, we will be just embedding an additional tags which are known as directives, and hence it is rather said as an extended HTML vocabulary. So as I mentioned over here, it helps to just add the additional tags, and we can interact with the DOM. It makes the HTML work for application rather than a plain document, which means that your HTML page behaves as if it has become an application now, rather than just a representation engine. Now an AngularJS, as we have summarized quickly, it's a MV star framework. It is an open source, it's comprehensive, and it's testable, as well as it's an extended HTML vocabulary area. So these are the few features. Now quick quiz over here. Angular thinks of HTML as if it had been designed to do what? So basically it is meant to be an application rather than only documents. What feature does Angular offer to move from one view to another? So it offers the feature of routing to move from one view to another. The primary components of Angular, one is, as we saw in the first slide, MVC. So here we'll understand. So the controller plays the major role over here. The central player is the controller. It controls everything, the logic as well as the state. The views are made up of bindings and directives. Fine. So directives are something which are additional features of the HTML, and this is how Angular talks and listens to the users. Fine. So directives, which are one of the most talked about part in Angular, are basically part of the view, or rather the HTML. The service will be having the important logic, and the Angular will be interacting with the service via the $HTTP calls. So, and the Angular components are services, controllers, and views. So basically the controllers plays the middle role over here between the services and the views. Quick quiz over here. What is the central component of an Angular application? So it is the controller. The directives are part of which component? So they are part of the views. In which components should you put your logic? It's a services. Now let's see a demo page, a simple page of representing Angular in Notepad. So let's see this Notepad page now for Angular. Okay, and in this Notepad page we can see that there is something very special over here, which we can see as ng app. So this ng app represents the Angular directive, the Angular application directive, and ng is a keyword over here in Angular which is represented, and every Angular tag like ng app or ng controller, so any Angular directive normally begins in the word ng. Now since we are representing the whole thing as an application, so we give the ng app directive, and this is our custom name. We can mention this name over here. So I'll let you know where this name is exactly coming from. Then the Angular, the source for Angular is basically the AngularJS file, which you can download from the Angular website. Once you Google on the net, you can get the latest Angular and you can download that. The scripts that I've created over here is the myscript.js, which is containing the other side, the controller part over here. So let's see the script part over here now, myscript.js. So as you can see over here, it is a very simple JavaScript code which is having the key module as Angular over here. So every Angular application starts off with the keyword. So basically module is part of everything in Angular, and every module needs a name. So I've given the name over here as app. So basically the same name is mentioned in the HTML page also, and over here it is the sub modules which can be mentioned. So right now I'm not focusing on that. Now I'm tying up the control over here with the module, and the name of the controller I'm giving is CTRL. This is just a convention, you can give any name over here. And here I'm defining a function which is containing what we call as a scope. So scope is something which is getting passed on by Angular, which will contain the scope for this particular module, or rather this controller I should say. And in this scope I'm tying up a model. So basically in the Angular MVC concept we have the model view controller. So the model is basically something which is attached with the scope. So message becomes a model over here, not the scope. The scope is some special way in which we can carry the data from the view to the controller and back. And I am attaching a simple message over here. Now the same message I am trying to see in the HTML page. So for that I'm having the header tag over here which is tied up with the ng controller, and mentioning the CTRL as the controller name which is coming from my script, and the message. So this is a special expression that I'm giving to the Angular application, the Angular expression I can say, and the message comes from the JS file which is mentioned over here, the message over here. And because of this, now whatever is coming from the controller is displayed over here. So if I run this in the browser, I can see a page, a view like this, hello world 2. So as you can see, I have ran this page on the browser and I'm getting this. So this is a easy and simple way to understand how exactly a basic Angular application is going to perform. So thank you very much for watching this short video, and in the next video I'm going to take the next part of Angular from here onwards. So thank you very much for watching this particular video. Thank you.